A question regarding defense and security.
Good evening, Your Excellency.
Good evening.
Some of your critics regularly bring up a statement you made, and this statement dates back to the very beginning of your time in power, when you said that if everything was put in place, 3 months would be enough to move towards ending the war. These critics now say that 3 years later, the war is still not completely over. Mr. President, how do you respond to this tonight?
All right, thank you very much, and thank you all for coming to this interview. It's true, that's what we would have wished for, but things did not go as expected, and I said if everything was put in place. So, there are several approaches to implement in order to achieve this goal within the given time frame, but not everything was carried out as we had hoped. First, adversity. So, as soon as we came to power, we had hoped that we would be allowed to work quickly and make progress. Unfortunately, some people approached us and wanted us to go along with their agenda because their goal was not for the war to end so soon. I'm talking about certain foreign forces that were present on our soil. We had heated debates with diplomats from elsewhere on the matter, but no one wanted us to move toward ending this war. We understood this through their message. If people come to us and tell us that we have to accept that they support the terrorists while also supporting us, it means exactly what it sounds like. This is a war being deliberately maintained. So we quickly understood and got rid of all the forces that were present here, whether they were French forces, American forces, and we realized that the struggle would be tough. The second thing was also that we believed we at least had a minimum stock of weapons and ammunition. Today, I can tell you what I actually found in stock, for example. There was, for all of Burkina, less than 100,000 Kalashnikov rounds, and as for weapons, we barely had 100. How were we supposed to wage a war? We had to re-equip ourselves, reinforce the army in terms of personnel, weaponry, and everything else. That's why the 3-month objective, if this prerequisite had been met, would have been entirely possible, but there was nothing. We were not prepared for war, neither in terms of equipment nor in terms of manpower.
Precisely, Mr. President. As you just said, when you took power, if we want to put it bluntly, there were more men than ammunition in the Burkinabe army. And today, where do we stand with the armament program for that army? And what are the signs that it is gradually gaining strength?
Very well. As I said, I can't fully describe the situation as it was. It was catastrophic. And as I mentioned, you might be concerned. There may even be soldiers in this room who were on the front lines without weapons. That actually happened in our army. So these are situations where you might think it was just, I wouldn't say bad faith, but rather an incomprehensible situation. For us, the weapons were there, but they refused to equip us. But when we were confronted with reality, we quickly decided to first focus on arming the personnel who were present. And that's when it became the Banner Korea. Because many powerful countries refused to supply us with weapons. So we turned to those who were willing to supply us with weapons. Very quickly we equipped ourselves, we recruited the VDP, and we were able to pay for everything we needed. We developed an equipment plan for a build-up in strength. And as you can see, for the past 2 years now, the equipment has started to arrive. It's still not over. And more keeps coming in. Maybe in a few days, you'll see even more new equipment being presented, which is mainly support equipment. Because first, the infantry had to be equipped so that every man could be issued a weapon. That was a big challenge. We've achieved it. We're still recruiting, as you can see. Every year, between 10,000 and 15,000 men have been recruited. That was a considerable effort. Because no matter what anyone says, adversity is there. The number of terrorists is increasing because the imperialists are recruiting many mercenaries who come to Burkina Faso to fight. So we have to adapt to the situation. And now we've entered our third phase, which is no longer about buying, but about manufacturing ourselves. And we're also involved in that now. So that's what building up our strength means. It's important to equip ourselves properly, but also to create a defense industry. That's very important.
In a few months or maybe a few years, our soldiers here will be using weapons made in Burkina.
Of course. We have the intellectual capacity. There are resources here, you just have to look for them. And that's it. We're right here at home. You'll see, you'll be recognized around the world.
Mr. President, in your opinion, can we win this war at this point in time? Are we going to win this war?
We can only win it. What else would we do? Rest assured, we're not going anywhere and we will win this war. I've told you, the threat keeps changing, but we are adapting. And the strength of the Burkinabe army was that it was one of the most resilient armies in the world. The pressure that Burkina faces, I don't think there's another country on this earth that faces such pressure. but we are holding on. We are fighting, and we are constantly adapting to the threat. And we understand where the threat is coming from. It's starting to show. That's the most important thing. And right now, I can assure you that soon we'll be talking about a black albino who will appear, and you'll see. Don't ask me what that means. I think you'll understand later. The war will end, and very soon.
Precisely, to achieve victory in this war, you could say you need the necessary weapons, and you also need capable men, especially men with determination. As you know, that's the major game changer. That's what makes the difference in any war right now, at least as we speak. So what exactly is the morale of our troops on the ground?
You've really gotten to the heart of the problem. Human resources, determined men. It's not just about buying equipment, you need determined men. And if you notice, we are in the process of building a quality army. It's not uncommon that when it's judged that a unit leader or an element has failed their mission, they are dismissed and prosecuted. This has happened several times and it will continue to be that way. If you sign up to be in the military, you must accomplish the mission, because the mission is sacred to us. The other thing is that despite the pressure, despite the challenge, the men keep fighting and they are very resilient. If today you ask a soldier whether he would want others to come fight in his place or come help him, they will never tell you that. They would rather die. It's at this level that you judge their morale. They are ready, always ready despite the situation. No matter what battle we might lose, we will always hold the line. That's what's very important in the mindset of soldiers. So morale is at its peak. People didn't expect to have this level of equipment, but now they do, so they're giving it their all. And I can only congratulate and thank everyone who fought. Very important.
So, Mr. President, in your argument, when you talk about a war that is taking on a different form, that is evolving, we still wonder, we always ask ourselves this question: who is attacking Burkina, in what way?
It's not just terrorism. It's a war to seize our wealth and prevent us from developing. I once explained this in a speech, I think. I said that if we manage to properly exploit our subsoil, to process what we are extracting here, what we are producing, there will be unemployment over there, on their side. It's a battle. They plunder our wealth in order to survive. So it's a war for independence. We must wage this war to be fully independent and to decide on our own development, our own path. So that's what it's about right now.
Mr. President, you just said it. We're talking about security, about the defense of Burkina Faso. Let's talk about your personal security. You just mentioned it a moment ago. The pressure is enormous. It's immense. The danger comes from everywhere. Mr. President, just in 2025, there have been several coup attempts that were foiled. Mr. President, do you ever feel afraid?
Thank you. I think that's the only strength I have. I'm not afraid because I trust all of you. That's the first thing. You have to trust the people because it's the people who entrusted us with this mission, and I trust that they will understand. And that's why we don't hesitate to stand before the people to explain the situation to them and tell them what's going on. That helps maintain a very good relationship. That's the first thing. The second thing, as I said, is that there was a mindset that needed to be developed within our own forces. That's very important. Right now, with this mindset, people understand why they're fighting. If you look back a few years, many officers on the ground didn't know why they were fighting. But if we know why we're fighting, who we're up against, and why there's this pressure, people understand better. And that's why we immediately created the Institute, the higher military school, so that we could train our own soldiers and instill in them exactly what we want. Remember one thing: if you let your forces be trained by other powers,